Welcome to Risky Routes, a short interview series telling the stories of moments when travel forces you to grow up and adapt fast because risk creates perspective and perspective creates success. We talk about the chaotic, uncomfortable, borderline bad idea journeys that push people to level up, trust themselves, and take control of their lives. I'm your host, Olivia Goldstein. Today, I'm joined by Keyonna Taylor, the CEO and founder of Key Focus Group. So, with over 20 years of experience in customer success, Keyonna founded the Key Focus Group to address a critical gap in the market: the need for world class customer success strategy and execution without the burden of hiring overhead. Keyonna is a customer success veteran, having worked at Atlassian, SolarWinds, Rackspace, and formerly TD Ameritrade. Having worked across industries and geographies from North America to LATAM, APAC, Keyonna understands that successful customer relationships are built on transparency, innovation, and genuine customer centricity. Key Focus Group was born from the belief that every scaling organization deserves access to enterprise grade customer success capabilities, regardless of their size or stage. Thank you so much for joining me, Keyonna.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I love this because one, you obviously have very, very deep expertise in customer success, which goes without saying. But you've also had quite a bit of travel and work experience abroad too.
Absolutely. Fun
Yes,
times, some very good times. It's very introspective. Absolutely.
believe it. So give me your best story.
There's so many. Goodness. I'll start with one that literally took the breath from me, and that
Mhm.
probably was my travel to Japan.
Ooh,
Um, Obviously Tokyo is, I don't know if anyone's ever been to Tokyo, it kind of reminds you of a New York, right? It's really busy, kind
yeah.
of futuristic, and I don't mean like, movie futuristic, but they're adapting ahead of what
Mhm.
most cities do, right, in their everyday life as far as technology. But I had the wonderful opportunity, me and my husband traveled to Mount Fuji. What I
Ooh.
didn't know was Mount Fuji was actually like this town, city-ish area. I just thought it was a mountain. I didn't know it
Okay,
was
me too.
a
Okay.
mountain inside of Mount Fuji, the city or town. So
Okay.
we went to Mount Fuji to climb Mount Fuji.
Uh-huh.
And I will tell you, we work out every single day,
Uh-huh.
but climbing Mount Fuji is a totally different experience. When they say the air is thinner up there, uh, it's not a joke. So,
Yeah.
we're climbing, and once you get towards the top,
Did you
literally,
guys train for this at all or no?
no, we didn't
Oh, so you
train
just
for
ripped
it.
it and went.
We
Okay.
just went at it, like,
Uh-huh.
totally enjoyed ourselves and didn't really plan. I I believe our everyday workouts kind of prepped us
Yeah, yeah.
unknowingly for
One would think.
this, but absolutely, but it's still unique, right? Very unique experience.
Hmm.
So getting towards the top, I didn't realize I've climbed before, but Mount Fuji is in of itself a totally different experience. It is higher than most any places I've ever climbed.
Hmm.
So the air was extremely thin. And when they say you're looking into the heavens, you're literally seeing clouds. It's almost like you could reach out and touch them. The birds are flying at eye level, right? You're not looking up,
Hmm.
you're looking out. And it
Wow.
just is absolutely beautiful. It goes to show how really small we are in the grand scheme of
Yes.
things. And I think we feel that when we look up at the heavens at night, but to actually be up there and to be pretty fit, the air is definitely thinner. You have to be more intentional with how you move. You have to be intentional with the pace you're at. All those things matter.
Right.
Hydration matters. Like I just never thought that I had that opportunity, and it was beautiful, very introspective.
Yeah. Did you guys go there for a vacation? Were you there for work? What brought you to Japan?
It was vacation. But I always think of things from what else can we be doing, right?
Right.
So being able to connect with people, I always think about, okay, they were awesome, but let me find out what they do, right? So I had an opportunity to meet a couple people by happenstance. It was someone that I met, or at least I worked
Yes.
with at another company. So that was weird. It's such a small world. Um, but yeah, primarily personal. I will share this too. On the way, it is easier to go up than down.
Really? Why?
When you're in a narrow path on the way
Yeah.
down, what gives you traction on the way up, like the rocks give you traction on the way up, on the way down, those rocks slide under your feet. And when it's a narrow path, you can slide off the edge. So,
Totally.
you know what I'm saying? So it really goes to speak about strategy. And I relate it even to my business, right? When you're starting out, it seems like, okay, I can do this. And the further and deeper you go on the journey, you start realizing there could be rocks under your feet that cause you to slide, that
Hmm.
cause you to, that throws you out of balance. And I kind of compare that figuratively with climbing Mount Fuji because the areas you think would be easiest sometimes tend to be the hardest, and the hardest areas sometimes end up being the easiest. So you never know until you get to experience it, and then you have to adapt very quickly in
Right.
order to still be successful.
Right, right. Like you actually, as you're experiencing and going through it, you start to realize like, oh, this wasn't as difficult or as challenging as it maybe appeared or looked from a distance. And like similarly, like if you're working on a problem, you've been putting off a major project, you're like, okay, it wasn't as bad once you like
Yeah,
started doing it. But by the same token, there's also like things that you think will be smooth sailing that you expect to just be, literally like just like an easy walk, like up, a certain path, like if you're on the mountain or something, comparing that to something at work that you just feel like it's routine, easy, and then all of a sudden something comes out of left field that you didn't expect, being able to like adapt and react. So, as someone that's, probably seen this um more than most people because you're of your nature where you have a very, all of the work that you've done is very external facing, right? You're constantly communicating with partners outside of an organization. It's like, how do you think those lessons translate and what can you kind of take from in general, like having better relationships and better communication skills and whatever it might be.
yeah, one step at a time,
Yeah, it's good advice.
one step at a time. There is a book, and I was looking at it pretty quickly over, but I believe it's oh, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel uh, Kahneman. Hopefully, I'm
Yeah.
pronouncing his name right. And if I think of some of my travels, Mount Fuji being one of them, going to Lisbon, Portugal, and another one is when you're traveling, you're always having to think about how am I going to deal with this from a culture standpoint, from a language standpoint, from a logistics standpoint. You're constantly shifting gears.
Yes.
Even when you're traveling personally. Nevertheless, when you're traveling for work or for business, you have to sometimes slow down and think about what is my next step and make it very intentional
Hmm.
versus rushing through something and having to kind of go back and say, oh, I wish I would have done that better.
Hmm.
Or if I would have done that initially this way, the outcome would have been different. And I correlate business and travel, which is why I was so excited
Yes.
being on here is I correlate business and travel a lot because you're having to constantly switch gears, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. And even if you start out that way, if your goal is to build a bigger company, it doesn't matter if you stay an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or build a business with multiple teams in it. Either way, it's one step at a time. Either way, you're context switching, you're thinking fast, you're thinking slow, you're being tactical, but then you're thinking long term and strategic. And the same thing with travel. You're looking at tactical things, but then you're looking at what is the purpose of this? What is the whole point of me coming here? And that becomes the strategy. And both components are so necessary in order to have a successful trip, personal or work, in order to have a successful business. You have to think about things tactically and strategically, and you have to be able to pivot, and you have to think slow and fast all at the same time. So much is required in both scenarios.
Yes, totally. And it's like sort of like my favorite way to travel, I've realized, is to sort of on the strategic side too, is to have a blend of like some opportunity for spontaneous activities, but also like you need some structure and like loose plan in place too. Which is very similar if you think about it, and like as you're like kind of tackling a project, right? It's like, and in general, I mean, I work a lot with entrepreneurs too. It's like you might have like a plan in place, whether it's like a financial plan or like a business plan of what you think will happen, but you can't be so glued heads down to it. You have to also like be ready to adapt for, market changes and dynamics that might happen. So you don't miss those opportunities.
Yes. You made a good point when you said how you do something. It makes me think of how I travel. For the most part,
Yes.
I hate bringing checked luggage because it takes time to check it when you leave. It takes time to check it when you get there. Sometimes if you're traveling internationally, you have to take back the luggage and recheck it. I mean, there's so many things, right? Baggage is truly baggage when you're traveling. I love to travel light with carry-on luggage only. That's my preference because it allows you to be more agile, right? If
Yep.
something happens and your travel changes or you have to go a different route, you don't have to worry about, oh, I hope my baggage makes it, right? You're
Yep.
able to pivot. And I think it's the same thing with business. If you are thinking lean and thinking efficiencies and how do you optimize your time? How do you optimize your tool and software? How do you optimize your effort, right? Then what happens is it allows you to be more agile. It allows you to pivot even in business. So if you think lean, it allows you to move with more flexibility, regardless of the direction.
hmm So, which is all really, really good points. I wanted to ask you because you've worked in a variety of industries, but more or less in the same domain.
Yes.
What do you see as like a common pitfall that a lot of businesses or founders or teams like really take in when they're trying to either scale up or improve their customer success outputs?
Comfort. They get
hmm
really comfortable. Um, Even when people say they're still scaling,
hmm
their actions and their efforts say differently, if that makes sense. I work with several companies, whether it's at the enterprise level or a startup or what I like to say a restart, because some companies, if they're
Yeah.
small, they may have been in business for 10, 20 years, but because they've rested and they got comfortable, they notice the economy has changed. And we are in what I like to call an outcome-based economy.
Ooh.
Before COVID, you could have an employee, a team, and if they were rudimentary in their actions, if they were doing those things, whether it's templated or automated, they get comfortable doing the same thing every single day, week in, week out, month in, month out. We are in an outcome economy. So
hmm
that means you have to think about how you pivot all the time.
hmm
Some of those companies have gotten so comfortable that they've been in business for 20 years, but now they're in a shock because they're like, well, we have customers leaving and we're operating in the red. And yes, because you got comfortable. They forget to look at things holistically. What is their overall go to market? What is their retention strategy? How do they continuously deliver value to their clients? You have to think about that because the competitive landscape in each industry or vertical continues to grow. People
Yes.
come into what maybe used to have a monopoly in a certain industry or vertical. Even
hmm
if it wasn't nationally or internationally, maybe regionally you did, and you got comfortable. So many people are getting comfortable. I see that at the enterprise level. I see that even at the startup level. If they've had any success, they turn that success and then they get comfortable. So they
Hmm.
stop thinking about things outside the box. They stop pivoting. They stop thinking future state. They stop thinking about who are our who's our competitive landscape? What are they offering? The old version of what I used to say, the secret shopper, like back in the days, they go to the store and then they go to the other store and they compare notes on
Right.
what was the better experience, who's the better pricing, all those types of things. Without calling it that, you always need to be in a place of being a virtual secret shopper. You need
Hmm.
to understand what your competition's doing. And what becomes the delineation is not features or product, it's delivery. How do
Yep.
I feel once I engage with you? How do I feel once I buy from you? How am I treated if I have to make a return, if I have a complaint, if something doesn't end up well? What is my channel to escalate? All those things really, really matter, and it separates the good from the great. And those are going to be the people who make it into the next 10 or 20 years, is by continuously evolving and always being intimately close to the voice of the customer, regardless of what you're offering.
Hmm. Do you think we'll always be you had this phrase of outcome-based economy that we've moved toward. Do you think that that will continue to carry forward in the coming years? And like, is that here to stay?
I can't ever make predictions, right?
I
But I
know.
believe with technology, how our world has really innovated with artificial intelligence and how quickly
Yes.
that's changing. There are less things that we have to necessarily think about because we have been information gathering for hundreds of years.
Hmm.
AI started in, I don't know, AI is about 60 to
Yeah.
70 years old. Think about that. So all the data we've been gathering, just creating a source to pull that data, whether it was Googling something, right? And now ChatGPT or all these different platforms that offer artificial intelligence. The information used to be more difficult to obtain.
Yep.
It's the execution now that is going to
Mhm.
make a difference. And so I foresee that always being the case. And then
Uh-huh.
there's just going to be a higher need of that quick execution.
Yeah.
Humans have always been not so patient, right? We like quick turn times. We like instantaneous satisfaction. And
Yes.
so outcome economy, I believe 1000% it's here
Yeah.
to stay. But what outcomes and how quickly we get the outcomes and what those outcomes look like, I think will absolutely continue to evolve.
Yeah, that coupled together with the other statement you made of like the scariest thing is just getting too comfortable and not being ready for change too. And it's like those two things could easily work against one another because if you have outdated technologies or whatever it might be, KPIs set for your team members or like just dead weight, you're not able to like adapt to what your market wants, like those are going to be the businesses that are going to struggle the most.
Think about it. I mean, if you relate it back to like your travel, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah.
risky
Sorry, we went
routes
on a
and travel.
tangent, but it's like I
No, I
geek out
mean,
about this stuff
it,
too.
it's a perfect like
Uh-huh.
segue to continue to relate the two because people who traveled to certain countries 20 years ago, the rules of
Hmm.
traveling, whether it's a visa or whether it's a shot that you have to take or whatever, those change over time, even if you visit the same country.
Yep.
The same thing happens in business. You can offer the same thing or go back to the same offering or business or whatever, but that changes over time, just like travel, right?
Hmm.
The way you obtain it, it used to be you had to go to a federal building or the post office to get certain things, and now you can obtain them digitally,
Hmm.
right? So the way we consume things is constantly changing, even when it comes to traveling.
Yes.
Travel is still a business. Now, there are multiple beneficiaries of said business, whether it's tour company, airline, cars, whatever that looks like. Everyone has a piece of that travel industry, hotels, all those things have changed. Same thing with business. it's just another aspect of business. It will continue to change. So you have to think about how you're going to pivot. You have to think of how you're going to differentiate yourself. You have to think, how do I improve the customer experience at every level? And that's why my company is very vertical agnostic,
Yes.
because you can almost copy paste that into anything, healthcare,
Yeah.
travel, technology. And these days, what's not tech? There's health tech, there's fintech, there's
Mm.
fill in the blank tech, because everything has a technical component. We're
Yep.
always evolving on how we're serving each other and how we're serving our clients and patients and citizens.
Mhm. So in the spirit of, kind of going outside of your comfort zone, where's next on your travel list?
Ooh, so I wouldn't say it's a comfort zone. Like, I want to go to Australia
Oh, I'm
and
going
New
in two
Zealand.
weeks, 3 weeks.
Are you real?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, you have to send me pictures, share
I will.
pictures
I
or
will.
experiences. Weirdly, I would love to go to Africa, but there's some
Yeah.
uh vaccines you have to take that I'm
Yep.
just like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to get that shot. So we'll see if that ever comes up. But I would say Australia would be probably the next on my list. I've never been. I've been to a lot of places, but the bucket list continues to grow.
It
There's so
does.
many places to go. Like,
I
people say,
know.
"Oh, you've been to all these places." Yes, but there's so many more
I know.
that
And
I
then you
haven't
get to
been
go
to.
revisit like other place. Like I've gone a couple times to some places twice, and it's like how they change over a period of time.
Oh yeah.
It's really beautiful. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Kiana. It was
Thank
wonderful to hear your
you.
expertise and how that ties into, your own experiences traveling too.
Yes, and thank you for letting me like copy your idea of the hat. I
Oh yeah,
always have
pink
to be like
hats.
super
Uh-huh.
professional, so I felt really good just throwing on a hat and just having
Yep.
a
Yep. Yep.
very
Yep.
liquid, or not liquid but fluid conversation, which is awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much.